Who you got? Looking ahead to the Niners, Eagles, Swagoo. Who you got? More rushing touchdowns. Is it McCaffrey or Jalen Hurts?
Christian McCaffrey. I think Jalen Hurts' legs are going to be pivotal in this game like everybody else, but Christian McCaffrey's legs are going to be more pivotal. I know we're talking about Brock Purdy and how he can push the ball down the field. This team still wants to run the ball physically, and especially when they get in the red zone.
All right, Nick, who you got? More receiving yards, A.J. Brown or Brandon Aiyuk?
I got to go with, I got to go with A.J. Brown. Brandon Aiyuk is not nearly as good a player as A.J. Brown. The fact that A.J. Brown's had a couple down weeks, I think he is up. Yes, it's time for them to get the ball back to him. They're going to need him in these big games. So
Welcome back to being amongst the living.
Jeff, who you got? More passing yards, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts.
I'm going Brock Purdy here. Listen, if you look at the last 3 or 4 games, the Eagles have given up almost 400 yards passing every week. So the only one they really locked down was Mahomes a couple of weeks ago. But Brock Purdy will push the ball down the field. And to Swagoo's point, Jalen Hurts is going to have his yards throwing it, but he's going to have his yards running it, which will take away a little bit from his passing yards.
Okay, so considering these two squads, how big is the gap, Kmart, you think, between Eagles and Niners right now?
I don't think it's that big. I don't think it's that big. To me, honestly, when you stack them up, you give the quarterback edge to the Philadelphia Eagles. I covered this game last year. I covered the NFC Championship game. And watching that game and seeing how the 49ers felt, they got robbed. Like, in their mind, there was no doubt that they were walking out of the link with that win and getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. So this is, I think, is a huge game for them. I think they feel like they were robbed by the football gods. This is a game for me where I feel like Brock Purdy has to protect the ball. They got to use all the versatility. That's what I love about the 49ers offense, the versatility that they have between Debo. I need a big game from Debo. Brandon Aiyuk downfield, George Kittle physical. Like, I love these two styles because two physical teams. Brock Purdy has to protect the football, and they can't leave time on the clock for Jalen because nobody is more clutch than Jalen Hurts.
You say rob because of the injuries.
Of the injuries that they, yeah.
Okay, Swagoo, same question to you. How big is the gap?
It's smaller than Strahan's gap.
Oh, my God.
Shout out to my man, Mike Stray. Big Stray, you know ain't no smoke. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Here's the thing. There is no gap. The Philadelphia Eagles, we know, is a very mature team. Yeah. They a line of scrimmage team. As much as people want to believe they can push the ball down the field and be prolific with Devontae and obviously AJ, but they play really well at the line of scrimmage. My concern is Lane Johnson. That's my biggest concern in this game. When you start talking about Chase Young coming over and Nick Bosa, how you going to match up with them? But when you look at San Francisco, when they're fully healthy, I think they're the toughest guard in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think they are the hardest team to stop offensively in the entire league. The only way you stop them is to cut the head off the snake and get to Brock Purdy. That's the only way. Because if these playmakers get space, they're going to make a ton of plays. If they able to run their offense and Kyle Shanahan can stay in his playbook and coach from an aggressive standpoint as opposed to having to react, then they can have a tremendous amount of success. But right now, man, like Philly to me is the best team in the NFL right now. And the reason why I say that is because of that damn quarterback, bro.
Yeah.
It just never, it is unbelievable. His even keel in any situation in football. It's amazing.
That's why I'm confused at why you guys are suggesting that there is no gap. I mean, I think the gap
I
is
just said it's smaller than.
Okay, it's smaller than straight. So, yeah, it's a tiny gap.
Tiny gap.
I think it's a slightly bigger gap.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility that the 49ers come out, get off to a good start, and then win the game.
Yeah.
But that's the only game script that I see where the 49ers can win.
Get ahead early.
Yeah, get ahead early and let those pass rushers get after it. I see, as we've seen throughout the course of this season, it don't matter for the Eagles. No matter what happens, they're going to be in a game, in part because of Jalen Hurts, but in part because a lot of the guys whose names don't come up. Like in the KC game, we had Byard with the interception. It's about how we keep bringing in plays. Zacchaeus making jump catches in the back of the end zone.
Right.
Bradbury making great picks. Darius Slay doing the best hold I ever seen in my life. That was the inside hand hold. It was magnificent. Way to hide that thing in there. That thing was beautiful. Yeah. But they get plays from all these guys, which I think that is the difference. It doesn't show up every week, but it seems to show up in these important ones.
I see you nodding your head, Jeff.
You're a deep thinker. like next level deep thinker. That's why we bring you in, dog. Like Harvard educated.
Harvard.
Like it's for real, dog. If I got a bouquet,
I don't want no flowers. I want some money.
No, look, I'm with you. There's not, but this is what I would say about to Swagoo's point in particular. The offense and defensive lines are going to be super important this week because, and I'll say this, for San Francisco with Warner and Greenlaw, they have to play their best game because of what Jalen Hurts brings to that offense. When they can spread you all the way out and it's basically 5-on-5, those two linebackers got to shed blocks and make tackles against a guy who's basically a running back who can throw it as well as every other quarterback, right? That is a tough draw for those guys. That is the difference as Jalen Hurts.
All right.
I guarantee you Dak Prescott feeling great about how he is. But he also knows what the conversation is around him. And he knows the best thing I can do now is come here and be humble while I'm balling and say, I ain't done nothing. Because if Dak Prescott steps up there and is like, man, I'm killing, look at me, do this. All us going to jump up there and be jerks and be like, hey, well, you ain't doing it in the playoffs. But he understands the assignment. And he understands that he's not talking to the man who's holding the camera or the woman who's holding the microphone. He is talking to the entire country because we all care about what happens to the Cowboys.
Lord.
So I like that he said that, but I hope in his off time he is enjoying it.
He's got cooking. Dak is
He said basically.
Ever. I love it.
He basically said, "Be Kendrick, sit down, be humble." What do you think, Swag?
You know what I like? I like this version of that.
Yes.
Right? I like the version that ain't buttoned up. I need to make sure I say the right thing. And he understands. He's read the room. He's read the room of conversations year in and year out. And he knows what this stretch is going to mean for him. When we talk about the MVP conversation, there is no question Dak has played at a higher level than most quarterbacks in the league. He's had a tremendous amount of success. The reality is the teams have been terrible. It started against Philly, though, where he played great and in a loss. These games that are coming up before the season, because I said these moments, these is about moments for Dak. It's coming up. Here it is right now. You about to get in the thick of it. You position in playoff. You're talking about teams that you're going to have to see in the playoffs. You're talking about defenses, especially with the San Francisco 49ers, where you're going to have to answer offensively. Like, I know we talk about the Dallas Cowboys defense and what they can do. When you play the San Francisco 49ers, you can't score 14 points and win the game. You are going to have to go play well. And the way he's playing, hopefully that momentum leads for him to play well. But Dak understands, and he's read the room, that nobody's excited about you beating the Giants twice. And nobody's excited about the Commanders game. These games that's coming up, this Thursday night game, a big one for them in Seattle. And then going into the rest of the stretch. I like the fact that he's reading the room, but I also like that Dak, I feel like Dak took off some stuff and was like, man, I don't give a damn. I'm just about to go play.
Dak just seems like he is in a good place. He's about to be dad. He's more. He seems more confident in this offense and more confident in his own skin. And I love that because it seems to have unleashed the Dak that has always been there, the playmaker, the guy that says, I understand it's all on me and we're good. I got us. But I understand it's about the moments that Marcus Spears is always talking about. I got to be better when the lights are brighter. And they have a team that can win a Super Bowl. But until people see it, they're not going to give Dak the credit.
And Dak from the boot, man. He from Louisiana. We don't be talking all that. We don't be all that clean talking. I'm glad he throwing curse words out. We curse.
That's what
we do.
Jeff, I want you to take a look at the Cowboys. Take a look at the Cowboys.
You know the truth.
Look at this, Jeff. Listen, they should dog walk the Seattle.
Whoa.
You're at home.
The comments of Brian Custer do not reflect the attitude of ESPN.
You got Eagles, Bills, Dolphins on the horizon. You got to go in there and just beat the brakes off of Seattle and get ready for the Eagles, the Bills, and the Dolphins. Give me your thoughts, Jeff.
Gino heard that.
This is a massive game Thursday night. I'm just letting you all know it's a massive game because it's the first team that has Pete Carroll, for whatever the Seahawks lack, they put good game plans together on the back end, right? So if he goes and has that type of performance, but Swagoo said this in the first hour. The thing with the Cowboys when you play bad teams is you need to build confidence. If there's anything that the Cowboys have done, whether it's on the back end with Bland or whether it's on the offensive side, they have built confidence. As they walk in these games, they should feel like they're the best team on the field and play with anybody. They saw what they did in Philly. They understand what they can do. They got to finish games, but they should go in with these games confident.
They should feel confident because over the last 3 games, the margin that they're beating teams by is like 127-30.
Right.
It is wild. So they should feel confident. And I like the position the Cowboys are in. I really do.
The NFL, y'all, it's about discomfort. Like, how do you handle discomfort? The reason why we talking about Philly, because they handle discomfort better than anybody in the NFL. Dallas got their discomfort coming up.
Yes.
The first opportunity we saw them in uncomfortable situations,
Yeah.
49ers boat race, right? They responded in Philly, played well, lost to a better team that day.
Yep.
Now you're about to get back into some uncomfortable games and uncomfortable situations. We'll see how they respond. Because if they don't, I got smoke.